Hello guys, welcome back to another interesting video. Today's video is a little bit interesting, not a little bit, it's very interesting and very insightful. I'm so curious about what's going on in this video. It's coming from Discover the Abroad. It's titled Countries Where Black People Are Not Welcomed. Are there countries where black people are not welcomed? Like even black Americans, let's not even talk about Africans, like black Americans, are there countries, like actually countries where black people are not welcome? I'm so curious and I would love to know. Before we dive into it, my name is Oge. Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time here, hello. Do well to like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. Let's quickly check this out together.
Traveling the world is an exciting adventure, but for black travelers, certain destinations can pose unexpected challenges. Whether it's cultural biases, racial profiling, or even safety concerns, there are places where black people may not feel entirely welcome.
Really?
In 2024/2025, these issues remain prevalent in some countries, creating unique travel experiences that aren't always positive. Curious to know which destinations you might want to avoid? We've compiled a list of 10 countries where black people are not welcomed, shedding light on the real stories behind the headlines. Before booking your next trip, explore the uncomfortable truths that could impact your journey. 10. Russia. Russia, with its rich cultural heritage and vast landscapes, is an alluring destination. However, for black travelers, the experience can be far less pleasant. Although Moscow and St. Petersburg are increasingly cosmopolitan, the country still grapples with racism, particularly in smaller towns. Incidents of racial slurs, harassment, and even violence are sadly common.
Wow.
According to a 2023 report by a Sova Center, a Russian human rights organization, there were over 60 racially motivated attacks across Russia that year, a number disproportionately affecting black individuals. While the majority of Russian people may be warm and welcoming, systemic issues remain, making it a country where black visitors often feel unsafe. Recent efforts by Russia to tackle racism through public awareness campaigns have had limited success, but the shadow of discrimination still looms, particularly for those with darker skin. 9. China.
Really?
As China continues its rise as a global superpower,
I'm surprised
millions
China.
of tourists flock to experience its vast history and modern marvels. Yet, for black travelers, the experience can be challenging. Despite China's economic advancements, racial biases remain deeply ingrained. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Guangzhou, home to one of China's largest African communities, saw a wave of discriminatory treatment, with many black residents evicted from their homes or denied services. A 2024 report showed that 50% of African expatriates in China reported experiencing racial discrimination, primarily in the form of being refused entry into restaurants or shops.
Wow.
Cultural misunderstandings and a lack of exposure to diversity contribute to this problem. While metropolitan areas like Beijing and Shanghai are more accustomed to foreigners, black travelers still report feeling marginalized. Unfortunately, these experiences have made China a difficult destination for some. 8. Italy. Italy, with its world-famous art, culture, and cuisine, draws millions of tourists each year. However, for black visitors, the dream of visiting Italy can sometimes turn into a nightmare. Despite being a top tourist destination, racial tensions have escalated in recent years. According to a 2022 report from the Italian National Institute of Statistics, racially motivated crimes increased by 35%, with black individuals being one of the main targets. While cities like Rome, Venice, and Florence are generally welcoming, incidents of racial slurs or even physical attacks can occur, especially in southern regions where xenophobia tends to be more pronounced. Additionally, African immigrants often face severe prejudice, which further fuels negative stereotypes. Although Italy's government has made efforts to combat racism through laws and initiatives, change has been slow, and the perception of black visitors remains complicated. 7. Greece.
Before we move on to Greece, I wanted to ask a question. Because when they say black people are not welcome, does it mean black people, they don't have black people in that country? Because I feel like black people are like almost everywhere on the surface of the earth. Like anywhere you go to, you will find a black person there. So does it mean that, because I am sure that there are black people in these countries, I'm so surprised that China, Italy are countries where black people are not welcomed. Like, black people still find it difficult to adjust or relate, or they battle racism and all of those things. Like, I have a lot of friends, black friends, that travel to China and all of those things, and well, maybe because I've not really put my ears in on the ground to actually listen to their concerns about how they try to adjust and live. Because they mentioned something about during the COVID period, they didn't allow black people to go into some shops and restaurants and all of those things. I'm really, really shocked and surprised. But I mean, to actually back this up, I love people who are watching me, and maybe you don't live in any of these countries. If you're a white person or a black person, what is the confirmation of this story? Because to be honest, I am surprised. I'm so surprised that countries like this in 2024 are facing this. I mean, it's really surprising. Let's check out Greece.
Greece, known for its stunning islands and ancient history, is celebrated for its hospitality. Yet, for black visitors, that hospitality can sometimes be marred by racism, particularly outside the main tourist hubs.
Mainly racism.
The country's ongoing migration crisis has only heightened racial tensions, with African migrants often at the receiving end of hostility. A 2023 survey by the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights found that 48% of black people in Greece had experienced racial discrimination, primarily in public spaces and the workplace. Although tourists may not experience overt hostility, black travelers have reported feeling uncomfortable due to stares, racial profiling, and occasional harassment. Greece's smaller towns, in particular, are less diverse and less accustomed to visitors of African descent. While the nation has made strides in addressing these issues, it remains a country where black travelers might face challenges beyond the usual tourist experience. 6. Ukraine. In recent years, Ukraine has been thrust into the global spotlight due to its war with Russia. Yet even before the conflict, Ukraine had a reputation for being unwelcoming to black people.
Really?
In 2022, as the war escalated, numerous African students reported being denied entry into buses or trains, with border guards prioritizing white Ukrainians. This sparked international outrage and highlighted the country's ongoing struggle with racial issues. According to the Global Tolerance Index, Ukraine ranks among the lowest in Europe for racial tolerance. Although the war has made travel to Ukraine almost impossible for tourists, the legacy of these incidents continues to resonate. For black individuals who had studied or worked in Ukraine, the experience of systemic racism has left lasting scars. Despite this, Ukraine remains a complex country, caught between the need for international support and its internal challenges with diversity.
They have to pick one.
5. Israel. Israel is a country steeped in history, but it's also one with significant racial and ethnic tensions, particularly when it comes to African immigrants. Black people, especially from African countries like Eritrea and Sudan, face severe discrimination. A 2023 report from the Anti-Defamation League revealed a 30% increase in racial incidents targeting African immigrants in Israel. In Tel Aviv, where many African asylum seekers reside, protests have erupted, sometimes turning violent, with demonstrators demanding the deportation of African migrants. The Israeli government has adopted policies that have made it difficult for Africans to settle, referring to many as infiltrators. While black tourists visiting religious sites in Israel may not experience the same level of hostility, the plight of African immigrants highlights the challenges black individuals face in the country. For visitors, it's important to be aware of these racial dynamics when traveling to Israel. 4. South Korea.
I feel like before you travel to a particular country, just like I've mentioned in some videos before, you have to take into cognizance these things. I mean, it won't be nice if you travel to a particular country only for you to find out when you get there that you're going to be having issues. I'm so surprised at Ukraine. I know that Ukraine actually would normally battle with racism and all of black people and all of that, but they open their arms to international students. they open their arms so much to international students. So how are these students actually coping? That's why I really love people in the comment section. If you've been to any of these countries, what do you think is the truth here? Because to be honest, I know it is, but somewhere like Ukraine opened their arms to international students a lot. They want to take in, I mean, before the war, of course, they want to take a lot of international students. So what's going on? If they are this rigid, why do they battle with such? In China, I had a friend that said, oh, you're a black person, you go to China, they look at, because of course they don't really have black people there. So when you say a black person, they want to take pictures with you, they want to take pictures of you, they're looking at you in a particular way, they're like, who is this black person? Do you understand what I mean? But I mean, it is so surprising. But I feel like as a tourist, or if you're a tourist watching me, before you travel to a particular, I think it's basic knowledge. You just have to find out what's up with that country. How do they treat immigrant or tourists or black people? You find out the economic situation and everything that you need to know. Very, very important, because you don't want to get there and then start facing problems or run into a serious problem. You understand?
South Korea is renowned for its technology, pop culture, and rich history, attracting millions of tourists annually.
I love to visit South Korea, to be
However,
honest.
it remains a highly homogeneous society where foreigners, particularly black people, can feel out of place. A 2023 survey by the Seoul National University found that 55% of black expatriates reported facing some form of racial discrimination during their time in South Korea. Incidents range from subtle microaggressions, such as stares and avoidance, to more overt acts of racism, including being denied service in certain establishments. South Korean media has also been criticized for perpetuating negative stereotypes about black people. While younger generations are becoming more exposed to global diversity through music and fashion, deep-rooted biases still exist. For black travelers, South Korea can be both fascinating and frustrating, offering a unique cultural experience but also presenting challenges in terms of racial acceptance. 3. India. India is a land of contrasts, rich in culture, diversity, and history. Yet it is also a country where colorism and racism can be pervasive. Black people visiting India often face uncomfortable stares, offensive comments, and in some cases, outright discrimination. In 2023,
Hold up. I thought they are black Indians. Like, they are black Indians. So what's up with that? Why will a black person be facing colorism or racial discrimination if they have black people among them? That's wild.
23, a Nigerian student was brutally attacked in New Delhi, highlighting the ongoing tensions between Africans and local residents. A survey by India Today found that 62% of black expatriates had experienced some form of racial discrimination during their stay. This issue stems from a long-standing preference for lighter skin, deeply rooted in Indian society. Colorism affects not just foreigners but also India's own darker-skinned citizens. While India's hospitality and cultural richness make it a popular destination, black travelers need to be prepared for the challenges they may face, particularly in less urbanized areas where diversity is less common. 2. Japan. Japan, often praised for its politeness and safety, presents a different kind of challenge for black travelers. While overt acts of racism are rare, black visitors often feel excluded in more subtle ways. A 2022 study by the Japan Times revealed that 45% of black expatriates had experienced some form of racial bias, from being stared at to being ignored in social settings. This exclusion is more pronounced in smaller towns, where foreign visitors are less common. In larger cities like Tokyo and Osaka, the experience can be more welcoming, though racial profiling by police remains a concern. Japan's media has also been criticized for perpetuating negative stereotypes of black people, particularly in advertisements and entertainment. For black travelers, Japan can be a beautiful and enriching destination, but navigating the social landscape requires patience and an understanding of the country's deeply homogeneous culture. 1. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, a land of strict traditions and immense wealth, employs millions of foreign workers, many of whom come from African countries. However, the treatment of black people, particularly those in the migrant labor force, has been widely criticized. A 2023 report by Human Rights Watch revealed that 70% of all labor disputes in Saudi Arabia involved black workers, many of whom reported cases of abuse and mistreatment. In addition to labor issues, black tourists may face cultural barriers that make travel uncomfortable. While the holy cities of Mecca and Medina are welcoming to pilgrims of all races, other regions can be more difficult to navigate due to cultural norms that limit personal freedoms. Despite its modernization efforts, Saudi Arabia remains a challenging destination for black travelers, particularly for those unfamiliar with the kingdom's strict laws and customs.
These are very strong allegations. I see them as allegations because I would never imagine in the life of me that some of these countries do not welcome black travelers or black immigrants, right? Or immigrants that are black, obviously. If you're like a tourist, maybe you travel to any of this country, and Japan, Saudi Arabia, I thought Saudi Arabia accepts everybody. I never knew they also face racial discriminations too, once in a while. For countries like Russia, for Ukraine, maybe those two countries, I'm not really shocked, right? Because they are very, very, apart from those two countries, everyone that like Italy, China, India, India, even black people that are Indians also face such things. So it is so weird and it's so uncomfortable and very disturbing, if you ask me. So I think, like I said earlier, if you're a traveler, you love to travel to different countries just to experience different cultures and diversity and all of that. It's good and it's important that you ask questions before you go to certain places. You read about those places. It's very important just to help you easily navigate, so that you know where to go to, where not to go to, who to talk to, who not to talk to, know the words that you should use, the words you shouldn't use. Because these things can actually, you can run into serious trouble if you are not sure. But I really love you guys to ascertain this video, like which part was exaggerated or which part is not true. If you're a traveler or you live in any of these countries mentioned, what do you think? Do you think black people still face racial discrimination? Do you think racial discrimination is very, very serious in some of these countries? That's if you live in you've traveled to any of these countries, please mention, let's know in the comment section below. Before we go anywhere, my name is Oge. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching my videos to this part of the I'm just blabbing anyway. Thank you for stopping by and thank you for watching this part of this video. Do well to like, share, subscribe, turn on post notification bell, and I'll see you in my next video.